Welcome to Yay Basketball Daily. It is December 6th, 2022. Here's everything you missed from the NBA from last night. I'm Michael. That's Kyle. We'll dive right in with Luka Doncic filing for adoption papers for the entire city of Phoenix. He dominates Phoenix. He goes off for, let's see. Well, he didn't really go off because he only played 29 minutes, still 33 points. He was poised to go for a 50 ball. What you got on this one, Kyle?
Yeah, they are his sons this year. Pretty terrific shooting night from Luka, 12 of 20 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3, finishes with 33 points, fills it up, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. So he was everywhere tonight, even though, like you said, didn't play crazy minutes, stayed under 30 minutes. But if you're a Mavs fan, it's just as big a deal that he actually got some help tonight in a big game. Watched several Mavs games where it's like, man, he's got nobody to pass to who's knocking down shots. And tonight you get 17 points from Tim Hardaway Jr. He's 5 of 9 from the field. Spencer Dinwiddie, 21. Josh Green, 16. Christian Wood, 18. So Green and Wood off the bench give you 34 points. That's a huge improvement for them, and especially against a team like the Suns, where they really need to step it up. So overall, they were ahead by a large margin for most of this game, so most of it wasn't too entertaining in terms of close basketball, but good takeaway for the Mavs. They've got to be feeling good about this one.
Definitely. So I'm kind of curious, in your opinion, what was the issue for the Suns? Why can't they crack the Mavericks code here?
I'm not really sure. I mean, the Mavs have some good defenders who maybe for whatever reason just have their number. I believe Book had a pretty rough shooting night. 4 of 13, only took 2 3-point attempts. So I think they're rushing him off the line a little bit. They've got some guys who I thought played way better last year in the playoffs than they had so far this season, like Dorian Finney-Smith. So he seems to enjoy playing the Suns. So sometimes it's a personnel thing. The Mavs just seem to have the Suns' number.
Yeah, so when we were, of course, Monday evenings are always going to be a little tricky for us when it comes to YB Daily, because that's when we record the show and overtime and all that. And so we had score pulled up of the Suns Mavericks game here, and every time we took a glance, like you mentioned, it was just consistently not a game. Justin kept saying, they're up 26, they're up 24, whatever it was, consistently. I do agree with our good friend Cactus here that the J-Kid should have left Luka on so he could just get 50, just to get 50 against the Suns. That would have been good to see. So overall, standings-wise, I didn't pull that up. Mistake on my part. Let me take a quick look here as it loads up. The Dallas Mavericks jump they stay in the 9th spot at 12 and 11. The Suns stay at the 1st, but they are now only a half game above the New Orleans Pelicans.
Orleans Pelicans.
We talked about on the episode last night, which if you have not listened to that yet, go check out the audio. It's on all streaming platforms. Yay Basketball. Liam makes a really good point here as well. Luka Doncic does own the Suns. Yes. So overall, good game for Luka and the Mavericks, and we will move on to our next one, which was a thriller. Rockets Sixers in double overtime. The 14th place in the West, Houston Rockets managed to make this a game, and it was a hell of a game, to be honest. Pretty entertaining. So the big story is James Harden makes his return just in time to make his return to Houston. You can see he kind of got off to a warm start. Overall, he finishes the game. That's the wrong game there. Let me get the right box score up. James Harden finishes with 21 points, 7 assists, 4 of 19 shooting. He's missed a few weeks. That's to be expected. The big issue here was 38 minutes played in his first game back in this double overtime. They pulled him with about 90 seconds into overtime. The second overtime, after Joel Embiid had fouled out for rest, and immediately the Rockets took advantage, which is a young team like this, if you give them the sniff of a victory, they're gonna pounce, and they definitely did. I chalk this one up to James Harden and Joel Embiid just not being on the same page. So 2 turnovers by Harden in the final minute of the game. One in which he dribbles the ball off of Embiid's foot out of bounds, and then the other one just an errant pass, bad pass to Embiid, not on the same page. And then Embiid does the same thing, vice versa, where they do a pick and roll, and Embiid kind of flips it behind him, and Harden had already moved. They got to get on the same page if they want to make this work. I mean, we've seen it work for the most part in the past, but so far this season, we haven't really had large sample size enough for them to get it right. The big standout for me was after Joel Embiid gets fouled out. Harden tried to go hero ball like he was still. Liam makes a good point. Harden downfall, you love to see it. Harden tried to go hero ball like he was playing in Houston for the Rockets, not against the Rockets, and didn't get it to go. He had a shot at the game winner, which we're going to get a look at right here. This is one of the possessions I was talking about. Not a turnover, but I guess a turnover off of a block shot. Might as well be, yeah. Joel Embiid standing there with his hands up, like pass it to me. Down the stretch, and this is something that's crazy. And I think he was playing a little delicate with the 5 fouls, but down the stretch, they needed more Embiid and less Harden, which is insane because for this game, Embiid had a 45% usage rate. So he was nearly half their offense, but he was going up against Bruno Fernando and Alperen Şengün, and it's like, let the man do his thing. And James Harden just consistently didn't get him the ball in the last couple minutes of this game, allowing the Rockets to hang in there. Any takeaways from this one for you?
Yeah, not great decision making from the Sixers backcourt there. I mean, even that last shot, you've got Harden, who at the time would have been 4 of 18 from the field. That's where most of the Rockets' talent is, most of their athleticism, even though they're not maybe the best defenders in the world right now. In the crunch time, you would probably expect them to be because of their athleticism when it comes to Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., KJ, Martin. So yeah, do you want Harden shooting this insane step back from 5 feet outside the line, or do you want to try to get Embiid in the mix when he's shooting 57% from the field, or Tobias Harris in the mix when he's 7 of 8 from 3? I think the Sixers have some answers, but they just have to figure out what Harden's role is going to be moving forward. Once Maxi's healthy, he can be more of a creator, but if he's going to put up 20 shots a game shooting like this, they're going to continue to be in trouble.
Do you think it comes down to coaching?
He's still cooking up nothing.
Yeah. Oh, as always, Doc Rivers is cooking up nothing. Awesome. Well, we'll give it to you for the Clippers.
Clippers Hornets, baby. Part of the reason I wasn't catching too much of Suns Mavs last night, because they made this one a game. Story of the night's probably that you have a fully healthy Clippers team. Kawhi back, PG back, Zubac is healthy. And man, the Hornets stuck around. Their young guys played really hard. This one came down to the final possession, which was honestly pretty funny. Paul George and Kawhi, obviously both in the game. And then they had John Wall in the game. And last offensive possession for the Clippers, it's Paul George kind of top of the key. Looks like he's going to be holding it for the last shot. He dishes it to John Wall with about 11 or 12 seconds on the clock. And you can tell Wall goes through like all 3 options because he's been the guy for so long, right? In his career, he catches it and you can tell in his head it's Marcus Smart time. Like he was getting ready to jack this thing up, and then you can tell like it clicks in his head and he looks back to Paul George, and Paul George is being face guarded and he's just pointing the other way, and John Wall turns around, he's like, oh, I've got Kawhi Leonard here, and he just tosses the ball to Kawhi, who backs down his defender and knocks in a game winner with about 1.5 seconds on the clock left. And that was the difference maker. So as long as Kawhi is healthy, he's going to be the guy for him, and they can continue to pull off wins like this. But not super encouraging long term that a very short-handed Hornets team get in trouble like this. What do you think?
I mean, typically I would chalk it up to, rust. We've been talking about that a lot lately. Rust, but they both played the exact same amount of game time, 27 minutes and 58 seconds exactly. They both took the exact same amount of shots. Kawhi 0 for 3 from 3, only 16 from Kawhi and 19 from Paul George. So I think you can probably chalk this one up more to Russ than you can James Harden playing nearly 40 minutes last night in his first game back. But yeah, either way, you're right. A little alarming that the Hornets were able to even be competitive with this apparent Western Conference giant, sleeping giant that is the Clippers that everybody loves to tout on so much. When it comes to standings, Clippers stay in they jump to the 6th spot, avoid the play-in now. They are a half game over the Blazers for that 6th spot, and only a half game back of the 5th place Kings. The Hornets, I'm not even going to talk about their place in the standings. They are firmly in the 13th spot there. Game and a half ahead of
They're doing what they need to do. They're doing what they need to do.
This is true. Any other takeaways for you from this one?
Big game from Kelly Oubre, 28 points. Terry Rozier chipped in 22. They're giving some more run to the young guys, which is not typically what you see from Steve Clifford, but now it's by necessity with all the injuries. So I'm like what I'm seeing from Nick Richards. Kai Jones look better. They've drafted some bigs that it's like, these guys can't play in the league, but now they've got some bigs that are looking okay. So Ollie's up on the Hornets for a while. I've said they're like the last team I would ever pick to be the GM of, but it's getting a little better. A little progress. Yeah. A
little bit of progress. Yeah. If they can get these guys to develop it, and maybe Michael Jordan gets bored and wants to sell the team, maybe they could do something. Who knows? All right, we will move on to the next game. Grizzlies Heat was a good one. No Ja, no Triple J, and of course no Desmond Bane. He's set to be reevaluated here in a couple weeks. And shocking, no Kenny Lofton Jr. for the Grizzlies either. Another DMP, really starting to wonder what Taylor Jenkins is doing over there in Minnesota. But we can take a look at this one here. So the storyline on this one, Tyus Jones, which is what we'll be looking at here. Tyus Jones, get his stats pulled up here. Tyus Jones, 10 of 16, 28 points. He shot 62% from the field. Made this a pretty good game for the backup guard there. Dylan Brooks was trying to be the guy. He goes 7 of 22, shooting 31%. He wanted to be the Ja replacement for the night. Couldn't pull it off. Santi Aldama, impressive performance, 18 points, 10 rebounds on 8 of 12 shooting. And overall, pretty good performance from the Grizzlies. I do want to focus a little bit more on the Heat here, because I think this is more so a Heat issue than a Grizzlies issue, or Grizzlies win, more so a Heat loss. I think we can agree that the Grizzlies are a much better team than the Heat right now, but personnel-wise, this is a favorable matchup for the Heat. Bam plays 38 minutes. Jimmy plays 33 minutes. Caleb Martin, 6 of 10, 16 points. Kyle Lowry, 33 minutes, 10 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, a steal, a block. They got what they needed from their guys. Tyler Hero, 8 of 20, but 23 points. 3 of 11 from 3. That's always going to be an issue, but he's a shooter. Shooter's going to shoot. They're negative 1.1 in point differential this season. They're 20th in the league. The games they lose are close. They're always competitive. It's almost always a dogfight, always a scrap. And last week against the Celtics, they had those two games where the first one we go, if they had Jimmy, they probably would have pulled this out. They probably would have pulled out the win. And then they get Jimmy and they do it. Well, now, if you told me that Ja was sitting, Triple J was sitting, obviously Desmond Bane, and still, again, no Kenny Lofton, I'm going, this is definitely a Heat win, regardless of it being in Memphis. And the fact that it wasn't that, and this score is a little misleading. It was not quite as close as it seems. It was the Grizzlies got a second half lead and pretty much held on to it the entire time. But all the Grizzlies role players just playing their role perfectly, and they kind of channel that Steve Kerr Warriors mentality of strength in numbers and next man up mentality, and they really executed on it last night against the Heat. Takeaways from this one?
Yeah, like you said, kind of this feels like a culture win for the Grizzlies. We got some of that in the chat going too.
Yep.
It kind of feels like the Heat are kind of being passed by on their own sort of way of running the team, developing talent. We always look at the Heat and kind of get a kick out of, like, we didn't know who Max Strus was. And then all of a sudden he's averaging 20 points a game for a while there a couple seasons ago. And, they find these guys out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're huge contributors. And now that's kind of the Grizzlies, and they're better at it. When you talk about culture wins, it's missing all of your top guys and everybody else steps up and still gets the win for you. And that's what we're seeing with the Grizzlies. They seem to know what their weaknesses are. Jaw's going to miss games, so they have the highest paid backup point guard in the league in Tyus Jones, who comes in and gets the job done when Jaw can't play. So they're just a really well-run basketball team right now. I think they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yes, definitely. If you can be without your three best players and still manage to keep an animal like Kenny Lofton Jr. on the bench, I'm gonna keep harping on that. I think he needs more playing time. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to your Bucks taking care of business against the Magic. I just pulled up Giannis, but mandatory bowl viewing if you want. Let me know.
No, it was definitely not a bowl game. Unfortunately, he's still starting, but he's not really getting starting minutes right now. I'm not entirely sure why. But I guess he's just too good. They're tanking for Wemby, and they can't have Bull out there averaging 20 and 10. So you got to set him down. Bucks took care of business. Magic, actually, I'm starting to feel pretty bad for the Magic because they're a team that fights really hard. They've had several close games. They made this one close at the end against a relatively healthy Bucks team. Brooke wasn't playing, but other than that, ran their guys. So Bucks take care of business. Magic made it close. Some guys I've kind of been waiting to see more of. I thought Cole Anthony would help the Magic. He went 0 of 9 last night, so not a good performance from him. But Paolo gives you 20 and 12 and 7 last night. That's the future. That's what you got to keep looking towards if you're a Magic fan. Just that kid's going to be phenomenal for years. Definitely.
Along with their other great young player Franz Wagner, 19 and 12 with 4 assists. They had some good performances last night. Markelle Fultz has seemed to be bounced back from his, I don't even know what you can call it. Just odyssey that he's been through in the beginning of his first few years, and it seems to be right back in his role. 20 points from gets the start, 32 minutes, 44% from the field could improve, but like you said, the Magic are trying, and the Bucks obviously are just in a different class than the Magic. So not a whole lot to cover on that one there. Anything else you want to mention on this one?
No, Fultz had a good game, shot the ball pretty well, looked totally zoned out at the end of the game. They were showing a clip of them in the huddle, and Fultz has his back to Steve Clifford and just never blinks. It was pretty rough. But yeah, I hope they win some games. They can win a couple and still be bottom of the conference. So let's get these boys a couple wins. They're looking sad down there in Orlando.
Yeah, they definitely deserve it. The effort that they're putting in there. So, all right, we'll move on to the Celtics. They jump up north to Toronto and get a win. Yesterday on the show, I did predict that the Raptors would win this one. Oh, that's the wrong game. Do this one instead. I predicted that the Raptors would win this because of my boy Pascal Siakam, who did have a pretty good game. 29 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 20 from the field, 9 of 13 at the line. But the reason you're seeing what you're seeing on the screen is because of who he is. Jayson Tatum, 11 of 24, 31 points, 12 rebounds, a steal, a block, 3 assists. He's just playing MVP level basketball right now, and the surprise to me was that the Raptors had no answer for him, whether it be OG, whether it be Scotty, whether it be a switch from Siakam or Boucher or Christian Koloko was actually manageable in the high pick and roll with Tatum last night, but still, it's Jayson Tatum right now playing the way he is. They didn't have an answer for him. So kind of in the same way that the Bucks took care of business, the Celtics took care of business as well last night, going up to Toronto. They stay in the first place, 2 games ahead of the Bucks now, kind of building on that lead. Raptors drop down to the 8th seed. They're at 500, 12 and 12. They're 5-5 in their last 10. So I'm thinking that you get back into a rhythm, see if Scotty can kind of work his way out of this sophomore slump that he's in. Hopefully they can make a make a decent playoff run. But for now, the status quo remains the same. Any takeaways from this one there, Kyle?
Yeah, I was leaving this one to you. So I was kind of looking at the box score, seeing Tatum went off. I was like, okay, well, did Anunoby not get his defensive stats? Nope. 3 steals. He's still got his 3 steals. So he leads the league by almost half a steal. I think he's at 2.3 a game right now. So he's still putting people in the torture chamber, but it's just still not enough against Tatum. And yeah, like you said, now they're 12-12, but looking at the standings, I feel like we're starting to hit a point where that's all starting to solidify a little bit. I look at the Raptors and I'm like, I don't know if they're better than the Sixers overall, but I do think they're better than the Heat and the Wizards at 9 and 10. So I feel like we're starting to see these teams kind of land pretty close to where they're probably going to end up in the season. Yeah,
in the Eastern Conference for sure. The West is a little bit more more of a Wild West, no pun intended. The East, though, like you're right, like you said, does seem to be kind of solidifying and falling into what we're going to be able to see moving forward. All right, let's get to...
Shall we go out west?
The headline of the night. SGA stays hot. OKC over Atlanta. What you got on this one?
I got more SGA to report on.
Absolutely.
I believe he's the 3rd highest scorer in the league right now, averaging 31.3 points a game. It's only behind Luka and Giannis. So at some point, if the Thunder even get close to 500, you're going to have to put him in some sort of MVP conversation because he's playing just out of his mind. 35 points last night, 10 of 20-22 shooting, gets to the line 15 times, knocks down all 15 free throws. Little Bucks finals performance there. Fills it up, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 6 turnovers. We don't need to talk about that. It's fine. But
high usage point guard like that, who cares?
Who cares? Nate McMillan. Hot seat? Question mark.
I think if Trae Young says so.
That's the rule, right? Like, you got to keep your star player happy. If your star player's on board, you're safe. He does not seem on board right now with what's going on. He had another pretty rough performance. Shoots just 6 of 19 from the field. Does finish with 23 points. DeJounte gives him 24. He had a couple big plays down the way for him. So overall, I think the DeJounte Murray trade is paying off in terms of just talent and playmaking, but overall they're not all gelling together. I hate to get too carried away with this team just because I think they're a prime candidate to make a move. They don't have John Collins right now. They've been trying to trade John Collins for years now. So I think that's the move that could kind of change this team. They've drafted well. DeAndre Hunter still looks like he's improving. AJ Griffin actually looks really good. So I'm not down on this team long term, but the vibes are not great right this second.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Trae Young locked in through the 2027 season, so you definitely are going to be keeping Trae. Nate McMillan, though, he might be gone. He might be gone if they aren't able to capitalize on this top 4 seed that they're in right now. 13-11 for the Hawks as it stands now. 4-6 in their last 10. Something to note. The John Collins injury has had an effect on their rebounding. They dropped from top 10 rebounding team to 15th at the moment in the last 5 games at least. For the Thunder, though, they win and they jump above the Lakers. 12 spot. You're right. At some point, he's going to have to be in the conversation if they make the playoffs. If
he drags them to a play-in. Yeah.
Man,
they're not far off.
It's starting to look that way, definitely. Well, let's close out the evening with a bit of a surprise to me.
Talk to me about Andrew Nembhard.
I will talk to you about Andrew Nembhard. So he had a career high. He's a rookie, so, like I said, not saying a lot, but 31 points for Nembhard. Let me get these highlights rolling here. What I actually have highlights-wise is Steph, because that to me, I asked you, what do you think is a bigger story? Andrew Nembhard going for a career high or Steph kind of being neutralized by the Pacers? 3 of 17 for Steph for only 12 points. He's averaging a career high in points, shooting percentage, and effective field goal percentage right now. So to see this output from a superstar of his caliber against we can admit what tier the Pacers are on, against a team on that tier, very surprising. But yes, Andrew Nembhard, 31 points on 13 of 21 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists. This was not just a great scoring output. 31, 8, and 13. He's a plus 16 for his Pacers. The Pacers get the win 112-104. There is actually a clip that I wanted to show you. This is what happened when when Steph Curry got switched onto Andrew Nembhard during the game. Let me mute that. Here's Andrew Nembhard just, oh, he got him. Look out. And then
where'd he learn that move?
Yeah, you can take a look at this. Frustration for Steph right there. So definitely something of note that Steph seemed to be getting a little frustrated with the team not performing as well despite his incredible performance. Any takeaways from this one?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Steph and you look across the court and you see a Pacers team without Halliburton or Miles Turner,
right,
and you think you can chalk it up for a win, this has been talked about all season. I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but I think this is as talented of a league overall as we've seen in maybe decades. Like, you just don't have those chalk wins like you used to. I mean,
look at Sixers Rockets. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it all across the board last night. The Hornets competed, the Rockets win, the Pacers win. Like, there's just too much talent top to bottom. It's why the Grizzlies can compete without their top 3 guys.
Yeah.
If you don't come in and play your best basketball, you're probably going home with a loss. And that's been happening to the Warriors a lot this season. You play a whole bunch of rookies and young guys really wanting to prove it. Nesmith's with the Pacers, kind of flamed out in Boston. He's got something to prove. Nembhard's a rookie. Smith's a second or third year guy. He was drafted by the Suns, and then they shipped him off on his rookie deal. Matherin's a rookie. Hield's kind of doing his audition for a trade, just not as strongly as Miles Turner. But you're playing a whole bunch of guys who really have something to prove, and the Warriors don't. So they're going to catch them on a Monday night in December, I suppose. But Pacers look way better than we thought. They look like they're going to be for real as maybe a play-in team, maybe a 6 seed. It seemed fluky beginning of the year, but now we got to take it seriously, I think.
Definitely. Before we move on, I do just want to address a report that Zach Lowe had yesterday that the Lakers are holding out for DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. It's going to be it was a big story last night, and it'll be a story throughout today, but I imagine by the time tomorrow when we're talking about Lakers Cavs, it'll be gone. So I just want to get your take on that. Do you think that what does that move the needle for you? They give up Russ and the picks and get DeRozan and Vooch. Does that move the needle for the Lakers?
Maybe a little bit. AD refuses to play the 5, so you bring in Vooch, who can play the 5 and stretch the floor. He's terrible on defense, so that's sort of a trade-off. DeRozan gives you a lot of that other production that they're not really getting from anyone right now. So I really liked DeRozan. It'd be tough rooting for him as a Laker, but both picks in this rumor?
I would imagine so that they would have to do that.
That's a good reset for the Bulls. That's a good admit you failed and just get a couple good picks for the future and focus on Ayo Dosunmu and your other guys, Kobe White and Patrick Williams. So
I don't know
if it's super sexy, but
I mean, I think it's appealing at least, but you remember 3 months ago we were like, are the Lakers going to trade for both Kyrie and KD? the tinfoil hat Lakers fans, and now they're like, look out, DeRozan and Vucevic.
I saw Mo Bamba in a Lakers Photoshop jersey this offseason, so there's no place they won't go.
Thirsty for help. All right, let's look forward real quick to tonight's games. Only 3 on the slate today. As we mentioned, Lakers Cavs at 6:30 or 7:30 Eastern in Cleveland. Anthony Davis on a tear, 35 points, 65% shooting, 16 rebounds in the last 10 games, going insane right now. Lakers are 8-2 in their last 10. Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs, though, no slouch for sure. What do you expect from this game? Put it on wax. We'll see you in the morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Put it on wax. What you got?
I'll do it. I'll take the Cavs.
Okay.
AD's gonna go off inside, but I don't know what the Lakers are gonna do on the perimeter against Mitchell and Garland. So
Pat Bev torture chamber. What do you mean?
yeah.
The torture chamber is watching him play. Awesome. Pistons Heat. the 15th place in the East Pistons against the Miami Heat, who just lost last night in Memphis. What do you think about that?
He better win this one.
They need it.
They need to get it right. Yeah, the Pistons, man. If they had Cade, I think we'd have a lot more fun talking about him. But for now, it's just kind of watching how these young guys cook and see if they've got any other any guys coming up the pipeline. Jaden Ivey looks good. So he's been fun to watch. And then Mavs Nugs.
Fun matchup.
Hopefully a good game. That's a fun matchup.
Yeah. Let's see what Luka got rest last night. He only played for 30 minutes, so I imagine that he and Nikola Jokic could have a good little duel here. I'd love to see that. I would think the Nuggets would win this game, but also they're sliding right now, and the Mavericks seem to be having momentum again, especially after that win last night against the Suns. All right, well, those are the 3 games you can look forward to that we will be talking about tomorrow morning on YB Live or YB Daily. Is there anything that you want to give to the people before we get out of here?
I forgot we didn't cover Nike cutting ties with Kyrie. So that'll be it for one of the most popular basketball sneakers on the market right now. But don't fret. We've got Devin Booker and John Morant's signature shoes coming next summer. 2 guys who love Kobe's, 2 of the biggest Kobe collectors in the league. So I'm super interested to see what the first signature shoe looks like for both of these guys. So totally fine with them ditching Kyrie. Probably time. They've got more coming up.
I'll be really eager to see what Booker's look like because of his passion for the 90s and 90s style just in general, with the old cars and all that.
Car collections, amazing. Yeah,
car collection's crazy. So we'll see what that looks like. But yes, that was definitely something worth covering. Cool. Anything else that you have for the people?
I think that's it. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.
We'll see you here tomorrow morning, guys. Hit the link in the description. Do all things YB. Subscribe to everything. Join the link in the description. Hit the link in the description for the Chalkboard group chat. Give us game ideas. Talk to us. We love you so much. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Don't forget. Yay,